They told him, "You just can't do it." Not in a mean way, not with raised voices or insults, but with that quiet tone people use when they've already decided for you. It was almost worse than anger, because it sounded like fact. But here's the thing. When someone says, "You can't," what they often mean is, "I wouldn't." And that's a big difference. His name was Chris Walker, born in a small town in Ohio, raised in a family where money was always short but honesty and hard work were non-negotiable. Chris was an average student, not a star athlete, not the gifted kid in class. He was the boy who sat in the back, quietly sketching sneakers in the margins of his notebook. See, Chris had one dream: to design shoes. Not just any shoes, the kind kids save up for, the kind pros wear under bright lights, the kind that make you feel different when you put them on. But in his world, designing shoes wasn't a real job. It was a fantasy. When he told his guidance counselor, she smiled politely and said, "Maybe you should focus on something practical." When he mentioned it at dinner, his uncle chuckled. "Kid, you can't even afford a new pair yourself. What makes you think you can make them?" At 17, Chris applied for an internship at a local shoe store that also had a small design department. He didn't get it. The rejection email read, "We're looking for candidates with more experience in design software." Chris stared at that line for hours. Experience? How was he supposed to get experience if no one would let him try? That night, lying on his bed, the words replayed in his mind, "You can't." And for the first time, he started to believe them. But life has this funny way of putting the right people in your path at the right time. One day, while working his after-school job stocking shelves at the grocery store, Chris met a customer who noticed the sketches sticking out of his notebook. Her name was Mrs. Harper, a retired graphic designer. She flipped through his drawings and said, "These are good, really good. Have you thought about learning design software?" Chris laughed bitterly. "I can't afford it. And besides, I'm not sure I've got what it takes." She looked him straight in the eyes and said something he'd never forget. "You don't need permission to start. You just need the courage to keep going when it's hard." That night, Chris downloaded a free trial of a basic design program. It was clunky. The tools confused him, but he kept at it. He'd come home from work, eat dinner, and then stay up until 2 a.m. watching YouTube tutorials and practicing. The first shoes he designed looked bad, like really bad, but the second ones were better. And the third, even better. He posted a few on Instagram. Most got ignored. One got a single like from his mom, but he kept going. Not because anyone believed in him yet, but because he was starting to believe in himself. Months later, he saw a contest online. Design the future of sneakers. The winner's shoe would be produced in limited edition. The old Chris would have scrolled past it, but this Chris entered. He poured everything into that design, the curves, the color scheme, the texture. He thought about how the shoe would make someone feel. Weeks later, an email popped up. "Congratulations, you're a finalist." He didn't win first place, but he placed third out of over 5,000 entries. And here's the thing, the company reached out. They didn't offer him a job, but they offered him something else: mentorship. For the next year, Chris balanced 2 jobs while learning from industry professionals on Zoom calls during his lunch breaks. He redesigned his portfolio. He networked online. He entered more contests. He kept hearing no, but now the no's didn't sting the same. They felt like steps toward the right yes. Finally, at 22, he landed an internship with a small but growing sneaker brand in Los Angeles. He packed everything he owned into the back of his beat-up sedan and drove cross-country. 2 years later, one of Chris's designs became the brand's bestseller. It was worn by an NBA player during a playoff game. Social media blew up. That same uncle who'd once told him he couldn't even afford a pair, he sent Chris a photo of himself wearing them. Now, Chris travels the country, speaking to students who feel like the odds are stacked against them. He tells them, they'll say you can't because they couldn't. They'll say you can't because they've never seen someone like you do it. But that word, can't, It's only true if you believe it. So maybe right now, someone's telling you you can't. Maybe it's a teacher, a friend, or worse, maybe it's your own voice. But remember, Chris, remember that I can't is just the starting point of I did. If the story lit a fire in you, drop a comment with the dream you're chasing. I read every single one. And hit subscribe because every day I'll share more stories that prove the world doesn't get to decide what you're capable of. You do.